Welcome to Charter Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerantz in West Los Angeles today, joined by the president of the Los Angeles City Council. His name is Herb Wesson. And I have to say that Proposition HHH, that was a rousing victory. That was the homeless bond. You needed 2/3 vote. Geez, you got over 76% of the vote. Stunning.
It was, first of all, good to see
Good to see you, always, sir.
It was stunning. It was not a shock. The people of this city decided to go into their pockets so that they could then use those funds to take people off the street.
But think about this. The voters of the city of Los Angeles voted yes on HHH. They voted yes on Measure M, which was a tax for transportation. They voted yes on a school construction bond, which is essentially seeking revenue from. They voted yes on extending Prop 30 on the wealthiest. The voters of Los Angeles were very generous.
Well, I think that they also recognize that there are upgrades that we needed to make to the city, the county that we live in, and that these things aren't free. And they decided to invest, and I'm just so happy that they did. I think they're going to see positive results in every court category you mentioned, from parks to transportation.
And they voted yes on the parks bond.
Yeah.
So let's talk about those positive results, because when we look at LA, I'm going to talk about the county for a moment.
Go ahead.
We have about 50,000 homeless in this county.
Yeah, about 47, 48.
I mean, it's devastating and heartbreaking. HHH passes. How quickly can we see the benefits of HHH?
Well, we're working on ways now to kind of make this happen borderline immediately.
Okay.
Now, there are some long-range projects that will take a while, but we have some projects that are already in the pipeline. We're going to try to fast-track those projects. We're putting in place our oversight team, things that we committed to the voters that we were going to do to make sure that the money was properly spent. So all of those actions are taking place.
So HHH provides for funding for construction of supportive housing services.
Permanent supportive housing.
Not for services. But I understand that your friends at the county are looking to, I don't know, complement HHH? Is that a good way to say it?
Well, this is, I want to say, the first time that I can remember where you have city government, state government, county government, the school boards working together, recognizing that homelessness is a big problem. So our responsibility in the city of Los Angeles is to construct units where individuals can live. The county's responsibility is to provide us with the resources so that we can give the folk services.
Right.
So what we do when we talk about permanent supportive housing is you do have the housing, but you also have the wraparound services incorporated into those projects.
And I want to talk about those wraparound services because the March ballot will have a half-cent sales tax for the entire county for homeless services.
Yes, it will.
And so given that the voters of LA, which is 4/10 of the county, just said yes on a bond, are you concerned that the voters of the county may be a little wary? It's another 2/3 vote. That's a hurdle.
No, I think that they made a commitment to try to relieve homelessness. I think that people looked into themselves, at their moral compass, and they said it is not okay to have individuals on the street. And they decided to vote for it. There were another percentage of people that said, well, I think this is, if I do this, it'll be cheaper than the money I have to pay for the police.
One could argue.
And for emergency services for the hospitals. So I think that part of the folk, they did it from the heart. Other people did it from the head.
I want to talk about the heart and the head in the wake of the recent election. I think it's fair to say that Los Angeles was a bit shell-shocked by the results of the presidential election. I'm not taking a position, but if you look out there, I think LA was shocked, and a lot of children were surprised. We think about LAUSD. 74% of LAUSD is Latino. There was a quote in the LA Times from a fifth grader at LAUSD, a Latina fifth grader, who said, "I guess people don't really like us." These are hard times for a diversity like Los Angeles, and you have been looking at this question of relations between us. What can you tell us, sir?
Well, it was over a year ago that we felt that it was important that the city of Los Angeles engage in a conversation about race, tolerance, relationships with law enforcement. But I think the one thing I want to say where it relates to your opening, we are LA, and people should relax. We are LA. The winds in this country blow from the west to the east. But the rest of this country is looking at us. And even though we're frightened and we have children that are frightened, it's important for us to step up and kind of lead the way.
Let's talk about stepping up, because look, you remember, I remember that when the federal government wanted to push desegregation, the way they did that is through federal funding. They said to the school districts, the cities, the counties, the states, if you don't desegregate, we're going to pull your funds. The chief of staff to President Donald Trump has said if cities act as sanctuary cities, they shield the undocumented, we're going to pull your federal funds. That presents tremendous challenges.
Well, I think what it does, it presents a lot of questions. And what we're doing at the City of Los Angeles is we're asking those questions, trying to get the answers. Now, if you went out and asked 5 people the definition of a sanctuary city, you get 5 different definitions. So we want to find out, and we've got a report we're expecting back, and that report's going to tell us what is the official definition of a sanctuary city. We have created a committee that deals with immigrant affairs and civil rights. We have also had conversations about bringing in an immigrant rights specialist, someone that can help us in the event that there are questions between the federal government and us. We're also getting an assessment of all of the federal funds that we receive, what could be in jeopardy, what might not be in jeopardy, and how do we protect the money that we get. So we in Los Angeles, we're being proactive. We're trying to ask all of these questions in advance so that we'll be prepared to deal with them.
The early reporting tells us that LA receives about $500 million a year in federal funding, another $23 million from HUD, who looks like will be headed up by Ben Carson. And so they could pull those funds. I mean, desegregation is a model. The irony, though, if I may, please.
They could pull the funds for a variety of reasons. If the Congress decides to go in a different direction where it relates to priorities, we are at risk of losing funding. We are always lobbying Washington, D.C. to maintain and increase our level of funding. So I think the important thing for us to do is just identify the different pockets of money and ways that we can ensure that we can protect these monies, but it's going to be a back and forth conversation. It is what it is.
What are your constituents saying? Are they scared?
I have a lot of constituents that are concerned or scared, and not just about the possibility of deportations or creating some list where you put individuals that have Muslim surnames. They're concerned about the stance from the Justice Department. They're concerned about civil rights and human rights. For the past several elections, there have been battles almost in the South to make sure that individuals can vote. So I think that people have a lot of concerns.
Right. We'll have you back, hopefully. His name is Herb Wesson, president of the LA City Council. I'm Brad Pomerantz, Charter Local Edition.